How we doing today, guys? My name is Jesse, and this is a channel for bonsais, welding, bullies, and motorcycles. Basically all my hobbies that I love doing. These little guys right here are my bullies. Hey, Percy. He's a good boy. Of course, my little collection of bonsais. But the topic is what we are feeding our bullies, and I understand that it gets a little expensive depending on how many dogs you have, but this will show you what you can feed them by putting in a little work, cooking for them, and they're not having to eat the same thing every single day. So I'll be going over what I cook for them, how much it costs, and what you get for your money. All right, let's get started. What you see here is what I put in. So I have two recipes, one being beef. We have ground beef. This is the kidney or heart, just depending on what's on sale and what you want to give them. Of course, carrots, sweet peas, celery, green beans. I do put rice. Some people, are controversial about it, but I've talked to veterinarians and people that actually make dog food. And eggs, with or without the shells, depending on your preference. And then the second recipe is going to be with chicken. I use chicken thighs just because they tend to be a little cheaper. They're bone in, so I use the broth itself to put back into the mix, gizzards or hearts, and then liver. And this should be a good, well-balanced diet for them. So what I'll do now is kind of show you what I do in order to get all this stuff to fit in one of these pots. So typically I've been doing a little bit, so I've gotten the hang of trying to do two at the same time instead of spending 8 hours cooking. All right, so I'll get started, and at the very end I will show you what the cost per pound is and the benefits of doing chopped up. My wife had been putting the first chicken recipe in the food processor while I was boiling the 5-6 pounds of chicken thighs. I went ahead and filled up, I think that's about 8 quarts. There's about 4 quarts that I did to boil the chicken, obviously, so I wanted to flow. So I just went ahead and filled it up all the way. So I would say about 8 quarts of water with the already chicken broth. And I mean, this is what you're gonna be feeding your dog. Really colorful, has flavor. It's not dry food. And I will show you, by the time this is done, we will most likely show you how much they truly like it. So what I do is just debone the chicken, throw it in there as well. I go ahead and just mix everything in. The chicken gizzards and liver have already been thrown in the food processor and thrown in as well. We still would need to add the rice towards the end, which takes anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes, all depending on how much you're making. I'm sure you guys have made rice before, so you know that it does take a little bit to absorb the water that you have in there. And then at the very end, I drop in the dozen eggs with or without the shell, your preference, because that is almost done immediately after it cooking for 3 to 4 hours, just depending on how high you have it. I like to keep it really low so nothing will stick to the bottom and you get as much out of the food as possible. So I'll be back. All right, so there's still about another 30 minutes before I'm gonna even think about putting in the rice. Probably a little bit longer for the beef one, just because I started on the chicken first. This one looks like it's a little bit more cooked. Again, because I started on it first. Before I add the rice, I'll be adding 2 cups per recipe, but it also will not be done before my dogs have to eat. As you can see, it is 4:58, and these guys are pretty punctual at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I feed them at 8 in the morning. Well, my wife typically feeds them in the morning. But as you can see, these guys are super excited about the food. And before this, I don't know if maybe even the reason that you guys are looking at this video is because you're having issues with your dogs eating. But look at this. Look at these guys running outside. They do not wait to eat their food. They don't nibble on it, walk away. They don't give us a hard time eating. Again, since we've switched over to doing this, these guys have been very happy with what they're eating. It's been a lot easier on us, other than the mess that this little one likes to make. Again, it's because of these underbite. So he has a little bit more trouble. We've tried different bowls, again, different foods, you know, and he just tends to be making a mess. So that's why we feed him outside or in the garage, depending on the weather. But I mean, you can see firsthand what or how these guys are eating, and they personally don't care about anything other than their food at this point. Sometimes I have we have leftovers on what we make, and we'll turn that into toppers. You can cook it with apples, pears, other fruits that kind of just make a different taste for a topper for them. But this is the feeding process. This is what you're gonna get. If there is a lack of your foods, or your dogs wanting to eat, then there may be something else, you know, wrong with your dog. That if you're having trouble with them eating, you know, you may want to check it, like I said, for food allergies or maybe something else. But as far as these particular dogs, they are truly enjoying you know, their meal. And again, I feed these guys a cup in the morning, a cup in the afternoon. You will also notice that your dogs will not be drinking as much water because there's a lot more water, and you know, this is basically wet food. You see, this guy likes to come over here and steal his food. God, you can see how messy this guy is. See? No. But yeah, so you will notice, Brucey, no. You will notice these guys drinking a lot less water. And it's because of, you know, the wet food that you are giving them. Look at this guy just stealing his leftovers. Well, I will be right back, and I'll show you the cost benefit of feeding them this way. All right, guys, in conclusion, this is the chicken and beef recipe. And I told you I was gonna give you about an average cost. This is for anywhere from 28 to 32 pound recipes. So the chicken, obviously in most cases, even in dry food, it's gonna be cheaper than beef. And then you can always go up to, you know, fish, and it gets a little bit more costly as you go. So the chicken, you're paying about $25 for 28 pounds to 32 pounds. Again, you know, I'm not averaging out the water that you're including, so it's gonna add more weight to it as well. $25 for almost 30 pounds. I mean, you can't beat that, and I'm gonna show you what other top brand dry food and freezer dried food, what's gonna be costing you. And then this is the beef recipe. You're paying about $30 for, again, anywhere from 27 to 32 pounds of food. So, you know, $25 to $30 for these two recipes, producing that much food. I mean, you can't beat it. And like I said, in most cases, you're paying you know, $25 to $30 for bottom of the barrel stuff. You know, just stuff that it just has a bunch of fillers, a bunch of stuff that your dogs don't need, that end up causing health issues in the long run. So this is Taste of the Wild. For a 28-pound bag is costing you $48.99, and that's the beef. So I just kind of picked a couple, and then of course I went to beef just because it's typically more expensive. Origin, a lot of people like it. A lot of dogs don't have a problem with it. They just recently had a little controversy with them not using any fillers or other things that dogs still need. Look at that price. 25 pounds, you're paying almost $100. $90.99 for Origin Original. I believe that's not even the beef. I think that might just be the chicken, but you can look into it. It ranges anywhere from $75 to $90. I think even the fish costs even more. Look at the, I don't know if you guys have seen freezer dried food, but this is what it costs to do that. Grandma Lucy's chicken freeze dried. It's a 10-pound bag, and it makes about 46 pounds. It's $80. And then they always recommend that you add a topper. So it's $80 for just the food that they're going to be eating, plus another $30–40 topper that you're going to be putting on top. I mean, you're looking at over $120 just to feed your dogs for, you know, again, however long, how big they are, all that stuff matters. But you know, 46 pounds to, you know, almost 60 pounds, and still. The price is just way different. And again, Wellness Core, I don't know if you guys have heard of these, but again, I just kind of picked some of the top selling ones, some of the more pricey ones, just so you have an idea. Do your homework, guys. You know, don't just go by what I'm telling you. But again, you're paying for 26 pounds, you're paying almost $70. So, you know, this is what you get. I've been feeding my dogs this for well over 3 months now because we were having issues with all of those, and you know, putting a hole in my pocket. So, you know, I love my dogs, and I want to make sure that they are well taken care of, and they can be with me as long as you know, I possibly can help them out with being with me. So, you know, just look at the price, compare, do your homework. Again, just don't go by what I'm telling you. I've gotten a lot of requests for what I feed my dog, so finally had the time to put it all together, and hopefully you guys benefit from this. And feel free to comment, please follow, and I'll see you later.